and you're aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. This is also a Lua Nova Other Side of the Moon episode. Patreon members, you are about to get the entire episode. And for everybody else, general population, you will get a very short clip of what it sounds like. If you want to join the Patreon, the Lua Nova Patreon, I will give you that information at the end of this clip. So new moons, anytime that we do any kind of spiritual work, we have to make sure of some things. First of all, always make sure that you're cleansed. So make sure that you have bathed and that you have cleansed your space. Make sure that you have done any kind of protection work. And this is a spell that is audio only. You do not need anything else other than your voice. I do recommend you saying this spell out loud. Feel free to change it up and feel free to, put it in your own words. That's fine. I absolutely love that. When I was learning to do spells and I was learning from other witches, I definitely did my own spin on pretty much every single spell that I learned. So here's what today's event is about. It is about the planets doing what is called by astronomers a planetary parade. And it is where the planets appear to all be in alignment. Okay. And also, this is a new moon. Obviously, you all know this by now. Lua Nova in Portuguese means new moon. That I named the whole brand New Moon because that is a powerful time to manifest. This new moon being in the sign of Pisces. This is a time to really focus on our dreams. This is a great time to focus on intuition and pretty much focusing on what it feels like to be in alignment. I talk a lot about what does that actually feel like? Okay. So I want you to think about that. Is there anything that you want to release during this time? Is there anything that you want to heal? Because season 3 of this podcast is all about healing. And manifestation is not about money. It's not about love. It is about all of it, the above. It is about everything that you can think of. And sometimes it's just about healing. And yes, you can manifest any amount of money that you want. You can manifest the love of your life. You can manifest good things, bad things. You can manifest even world events. Yes, that is possible. However, all of it is done with just that much intention. People really can be just that powerful because we were made in the image of the divine. And therefore, we have quite a bit of power behind us. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. But with all of that being said, your manifestations are not always going to be about, I want $100 or I want to date this guy over here. Sometimes it is, I want to feel healed. I want to release this trauma permanently, etc. And that is what this focus is going to be on. We are going to be like the planets and we are going to get aligned. If you have crystals, I want you to use your crystals for this as well. I'm going to ask you to intuitively choose which crystals you think are best. Because you can use crystals that are associated with the planets, or you can use crystals that are associated with healing, or even just associated with what it is that you want to manifest. But this is an extremely powerful time to manifest. Every new moon is, but especially when the planets essentially are helping us with their frequencies. Remember, everything has a frequency. And so why not use that frequency to our advantage? That's what they're there for. That's what they're trying to help us with. If you for instance, if in your big 3, sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, you happen to fall under, for instance, if you're a Virgo Gemini, you're ruled by the planet Mercury. If you're a Pisces, you're ruled by the planet Neptune. If any of these planets that are aligned are in your big 3 or a heavy part of your birth chart, this is an outstanding time for you to really set some intentions and some goals and get moving. Because I have talked recently to you in a collective reading about it's actually time to make those dreams come true. Don't let it just be just a dream. Okay. Let's use some of that Pisces intuition to our advantage. All right, new moons, vamos lá. So I have a quick correction. When I said that manifesting isn't about money or love, what I was actually trying to say is manifesting isn't only about money and love. Many of my listeners, you get very hung up on, I have to manifest 50,000. and I have to manifest this particular type of person, and how come it hasn't happened for me? Does this stuff even work? The second that you feel that way, you're working against yourself. You are building the wrong type of energy. And what happens with that negative momentum, more negative momentum just follows it. It just keeps happening. I'm going to give you a great example here. It's not a great example, but it's an example. And you all know, if you're on my Patreon, that I have my own little workout room here, right? And so I have one of those stair steppers, and I kept thinking to myself that I really need to get another one, because mine, I could already tell, was no longer as tough as it was, because I've used it too much. And then it snapped. It snapped without even trying. I wasn't even trying. Nothing about it has changed. It just completely just said, I'm done. And I thought to myself, hey, universe, when I say I want to manifest something, and I understand that I'm really powerful at this, but can you make sure I have the other thing that I wanted first before the previous item breaks? That would be great. So that is what I mean by that's what it's like sometimes when you learn to manifest a little too well. So dial it back just a little bit. Let these things happen. For those of you, because of many of you, and I mean many of you, have come to me about relationships. Why is it so difficult? Why isn't it working? All I hear is negative momentum, negative energy, lack of self-love, lack of self-worth, lack of boundaries. That's what I'm hearing when you're talking. Or you're still hung up on your exes. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why are you still talking to those exes who you have no connection with? And before you use the excuse of we have kids together. Okay. And that means you need to talk about your children. Why else would you need to be in contact? So you're wondering why it's difficult for you to move on, yet you're still half in another relationship. Maybe that might be why. Or you're wondering why it's hard for you to find the love of your life, and yet you are not working on you whatsoever. I'm not saying you got to be in the gym 7 days a week, but what I am saying is, how are you taking care of yourself? Are you being good to yourself? And what does that look like for you? I told you all a long time ago about a client I had, and he was saying he couldn't find a new girlfriend. But one, he kept going to the same bar. Two, he wasn't really sprucing himself up. He would go right after work. And three, he mentioned his ex 3 times. And I thought to myself, you think I need the tarot to tell you what the issue is here? Thankfully, the tarot was able to help him understand that it's time to move forward. And sometimes I understand why the tarot is needed, so that you can get that confirmation. But when it comes to manifestation, this is why I say it is important for you to actually be ready for it, to prepare yourself for it. Whenever you go on a job interview, did you just walk in without preparing? You didn't spruce yourself up whatsoever. You don't have your resume anywhere where they can see it. Although, these days, these people who do interviews are the worst. One time I did an interview and I literally ended it because she was vaping. No, thank you. And I was more intelligent than she was. No, absolutely not. You see why I work for myself? But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. So, new moons. Get into the right mindset, and then you will understand, finally, what you won't need me or Abraham Hicks, anybody, to tell you why manifestation actually is super easy. But this season, as we focus on healing, you will then understand at the end of the season why I wanted you to focus on healing so much, why I have this heavy emphasis on it. It is not just because I am grieving. It has a lot to do with the reason why there are so many obstacles to what it is that you want is because you refuse to heal. Okay. So with that being said, new moons who are not on the Patreon, I am about to actually get into the real episode. So I have the spell that I am going to give my Patreon members up and running. It is ready to go. And Patreon members, let's hop on over to Patreon. I'll see you over there. And, you know what I need to do? That's okay. We'll talk about it over there. For the rest of my new moons, I hope that you enjoyed this short clip. I will talk to you next Monday. that's when you're going to be hearing it. To my other new moons, you are hearing this already this Friday, February the 28th. Everybody else, again, I'll talk to you soon.